Hey guys, what's happening? Thanks for tuning in and coming back. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a great day. And today I'm experimenting with Analog Efex Pro, and that's an app that's a component of the Nick collection by DxO. There's a link down below. You can purchase it. It's a collection of 7 different plugins. Sells for $69. I had the Nick's, I call it Nick's collection. You'd be surprised how many people come to my blog looking for the Nick's collection, and they get there because of my last name. Nick, N-I-K collection. It was a privately owned company, and I had the plugins years ago, and then Google bought them, and then it kind of floundered. Google ignored it and sold it to DxO a couple of years ago or whatever. Anyway, it's now a DxO group of apps. Again, 7 different apps. It sells for $69. You can check it out, the link below. It is not an affiliate link. I'm not an affiliate with them. I get nothing out of it if you buy it. I just think it's, they're great products. I use them historically. These days I do a lot more of my editing in Luminar and Topaz Studio and Aurora. But, I still like the whole Nick collection. Color Efex Pro is great. Silver Efex Pro is great. Today I'm talking about Analog Efex Pro, though. And that's, as the name implies, gives you some analog effects, kind of film effects, kind of vintage. And, let's be honest here. If you've seen any of my photos or seen any of my videos, you know I like my color. I like big colors. I love cityscapes with a lot of color. But there are times when I just kind of want to do something a little bit different. And, maybe I want a desaturated look, or I want kind of a film or an analog or a vintage look, whatever you want to call it. And when those moods arise in me, I'll take my photos over to Analog Efex Pro because it's super fabulous for doing that kind of thing. So I'm going to walk through a few different cityscape photos that I would normally edit like in Luminar or Topaz Studio or something like that. I'm going to edit them here in Analog Efex Pro, show you some of the presets and some of the cool things you can do. So let's hop into it. Here's my first photo, and by the way, all of these photos I captured in Copenhagen a number of years ago. When you first drop your photo into Analog Efex Pro, it'll land here under what's called Classic Camera. If you click on that button, you'll see you have different tool combinations. You can either go down here where it says Build a Camera, click on Camera Kit, and then you can use any of these filters or these tools on this left-hand side, add them to the right-hand side, which is your adjustment panel over here, and build your own collection of tools to adjust your image with. What I actually normally do is just click on one of these categories, which they call tool combinations, which is basically different types of presets, right? So it defaults to Classic Camera, and one that I really like is this Classic Camera 5. I just think that's gorgeous. And it's got a little bit of color, so I like that, but it's also got a little bit of a faded kind of vintage look. It's kind of a tweener, so it kind of gives me a little bit of that vintage oomph, but I still get a little pop of color. And as soon as you click on it, as you can see on the right-hand side, all the filters that comprise that will pop up here, and you'll be able to adjust them. So these are all the different filters that are a component of this preset called Classic Camera 5. Now, I did a video a while back. There was a tutorial video about Analog Efex Pro. I'll put a link up here in this corner. That's a more detailed tutorial. I'm just going to walk through a few different variations and show you that even if you're a big color guy like me, if you every now and then kind of want to jack around and have a little bit of fun with some vintage kind of, analog looking film stuff, you can get some really great looks out of Analog Efex Pro. Any of these filters you can turn on or off with that little check mark. And you can also go into them and adjust them as you see fit. So in this case, maybe I want to reduce the amount of the vignette. I would actually go to the right, to do that. I can change it from a circle to a rectangle. Maybe I do want to bring back a little bit more vignette and maybe make it a little bit bigger. Maybe I want to go into basic adjustments. Maybe I want a little bit more color because I like my color. Maybe I need a little more contrast. Maybe I want to bump up the brightness a tad, give it a little detail extraction. There you go. A very different photo than what I started with. Let me hit compare. There's the initial shot, which is straight out of camera, and there it is edited. Let me jump into another photo and show you another example. Okay, this is another shot from Copenhagen, and I call it Nyhaven. I think technically it's pronounced Newhound or something like that, but it's their entertainment district. It's a harbor front kind of entertainment area with bars and restaurants, and these boats, they had a bunch of vintage kind of boats, so it kind of goes well with the theme here. I'm back on Classic Camera 5, but maybe I'll come over here to black and white. I got some pretty cool little presets built in. Here's black and white 3. You give that a minute, you can see it's even loading a texture, so it's pulling in a lot of different things. There's film choices, there's frames, there's all kinds of things you can do. Let me see, I'm going to get out of black and white. I'm going to go try color cast. Here you go. This is pretty neat. I like that. It's got a light leak, which is another cool thing that's built into it. So here's light leak, and you can increase the strength of that. You can change the category. Say you want to go crisp, and say I want to add this light leak. There you go, something different. Maybe I want to go over to this one. You can just click around, and that's what I recommend. I'm going to go back to soft. I'm going to try this thing out. That's pretty intense, but I can also reduce the strength, as you recall. A lot of different things that you can do. This color cast 3 looks pretty neat, kind of a faded, a little bit of nice color, but it looks foggy, which I can't recall. It may have been a little bit of a foggy morning, but it certainly has that look, and this preset has sort of accentuated that. So there's the original, and there's the current version. Let me show you a toy camera. There's a lot of cool things in here as well. This toy camera 4 looks pretty neat. You can see there's some distortion going on, and in fact, there's a filter called lens distortion, and it's currently over here kind of in barrel distortion, which you can see I'm accentuating going that way. I can also go to the left towards pincushion, and it bends the other way, right? So maybe you don't want very much distortion. You can adjust that accordingly. There's chromatic shifts, and you can even click down here about the chromatic aberration, which is actually adding and accentuating in your photo to give you more of that sort of toy camera look. Let me get another photo. Okay, here we are again, and this time I'm in classic camera, and I've got option 4. So now what I would do, I like my color, I'd come over here and maybe increase the saturation a little bit. So you can see it's still kind of a vintage look. Here's the original, and that was a slightly edited photo. I think I did a few things in Lightroom. I can't recall exactly. But there's the base edited photo, and here it is with some sort of vintage effects. You can see you still get a little bit of color coming through, but it's got a little bit more of a, not quite high key, but more of a contrasty kind of somewhat desaturated and washed out look, but yet with a nice little pop of color. Let me try another setting. Let's try vintage camera. A lot of these presets have frames built in, so you can come over here and you can see that there are some frames. Oops, let me turn on frames. I had it off. Lots of different frame choices. You can adjust the size. That you can go from film strip. I love this one here. It actually looks like a film strip. Pretty cool stuff. Lots of options there. This one has, as you can see, it's got a frame, but it's also got a light leak. So again, kind of cool. I would come in here and I think I would reduce some of the contrast a little bit, maybe bump up some of the saturation and brightness. And again, pretty cool looking photo, a different look. I might actually reduce the light leak a little bit. It's at 100. I might want to bring that down to make it not so intense. Very cool looking. You've also got Bokeh. So nice little filter built in for Bokeh here, and you can just adjust this. As you can see, you can change the shape, which will change where and how the Bokeh, and you can also move it around, by the way, that'll impact where and how it's impacting your photo. You can increase the blur strength, so making it more blurry where the areas of blur exist due to the Bokeh filter. So lots of capability, lots of fun. Even on a kind of non-vintage looking photo, you can create some cool looking effects. Let me get another one. Okay, here I am. I'm back on Classic Camera 4. I love Classic Camera 4 and 5. Here's 5 if you want to compare. 5 has a nice pop of color, which, hey, guess what? That's one of the reasons I like it. But what I like about 4 is that desaturated look, and if I do the compare here, if you look at the wood right up here at the top, I mean, it really did a desaturated, washed out look, but it added a bunch of kind of grunge and detail to it. So I think it looks cool, and if you look at the street, I love the way the detail has been brought up in the street, how the sky is even more blown out, and I actually like the color of the street where it's kind of got that bluish gray, kind of that steel gray look. So I think that's super cool. There's also like double exposure, so you can kind of come over here and do some really funky stuff, and the truth is you can go make all kinds of adjustments. Again, I recommend checking out my tutorial if you want to see some more things here. There's also multi-lens where you can come in here and basically create a multi-lens look, right, where it's dividing the photo into components, and you can also move, if I could get a hold of that, move this around so that, you know, in each frame you can come up here and say, well, I want to be more like that, and move it around so that the elements that are visible in each of these slices can vary, and you can do that. Here's another cool one. Let's let that build here. Give that a second. There we go. Now, that's got kind of a greenish tint. Maybe you don't like that, so you could come over here to film, and maybe I want to go to subtle. Actually, you know what? Maybe I want to go to black and white and do something a little bit like that. Talk about vintage. Now, that's kind of a triptych, kind of an interesting look done in black and white. Again, lots of different things. This one's looking kind of cool, this multi-lens 3. I love that color combination, and you know, pretty neat stuff. Lots of fun. Let me see what vintage camera can do for me here. Ooh, I like these. Yeah, I like that. I even like this one. That's kind of fun. It's got a big light leak, as you can see. Yeah, one of them. I was going to say it might even have 2 light leaks. Let's turn that off. Yeah, look at that big difference, right? So once again, if you think it's too much, you can just come in here and say, hey, a little too much. I want to turn that down. But you can see it's a light leak that shows like the film type or the film name or whatever, you know, from like a you know, double exposed roll of film or something. So pretty cool, interesting stuff. I got one more photo for you. Okay, here we are back in classic camera, and I'm on 4 this time. I like that look on this photo. Again, just a shot from Copenhagen. I love the vines and all the detail this thing has brought up. I might add a stronger vignette. The vignette is really weak here, so let me do something like that. I might make it more of a rectangle and make it a little smaller, a little tighter. And, you know, I think that's pretty cool looking right there. Again, different kind of look. It's not your usual kind of, hey, there's just a regular photo and I, you know, made some adjustments. You can do motion blurs. So here's a motion blur. Again, you can adjust the intensity of it. You can adjust the direction of it. You can adjust the size of that which is being blurred out. That's obviously a lot less. Lots of cool things you can do there. Let me get out of motion. Let's see. Let's do subtle bokeh. That's just kind of nice. Here's subtle bokeh 3. And once again, you just come in here and you can adjust the size of this stuff, and you can adjust the intensity of it. I'm just kind of messing around here. Not to mention, you can also pick where it's going to, you know, be located. So let me take blur strength down a little bit, something like that. So I've got a gentle blur around the edges, otherwise a generally in focus kind of photo. And this filter or this preset just was bokeh and lens vignette, so that's it. But if you compare it to the original, there's the original, and there it is, very subtle. You can also do a lot of crazy stuff if you wanted to. So let me go back to vintage camera. There's probably something cool. That's pretty fun. Vintage camera 1. I'm just kind of showing you some presets and trying to hopefully give you some ideas. The light leak's a little too much for me here. I might change it. Let me see what this looks like. That's kind of cool, actually. And that must be the frame that's causing... Yeah, nope, that's not the frame. Film type? Nope. Vignette? Nope. Okay, I thought that was a light leak. Yeah, okay. So the light leak is still got that in it. I like that yellow in there. Ooh, that's kind of fun. I think I would take that down. Something like that. Kind of cool. You got that strip of light kind of beaming off. It's kind of shining on the bottom. I don't know. It's just kind of fun stuff. I think the frame's a little big, so I'd come into frame and I would just take the size down. You can see you can do that. And there's a lot of cool frames. I mean, just literally the options are not quite limitless, but I mean, look at that. That's just really cool looking, I think. Or if you want to do light box, like here's this faded, kind of worn out looking edges here that look are kind of, not quite burnt, but you know, kind of burnt. This one's kind of cool as well. Let me bring the intensity up a minute. Let's see, do that. There we go. A little bit of that. Try that. I'm just experimenting again, my friends, because I think it's a lot of fun. I love these kind of looks. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm going to go back to film strip. I really like this one, which is an actual film strip. Super cool. I've got that cool light leak. I got the film strip. I got a neat looking photo. Anyway, I'm just trying to give you some ideas. I love Analog Efex Pro. I use it on a lot of photos, especially good to sort of get out of my habits, my habitual sort of editing sort of steps, which I do a lot in like Luminar. I do a lot of the same filters, and I love them, and I continue to do that, but it's fun sometimes to sort of kind of spin your brain off its axis and do something different. I think Analog Efex Pro is a good way to do that. If you want to get it, again, it's for sale for $69. I don't make anything on that. I'm not trying to sell you this product. I just think it's cool, and so check it out if you're interested. If you're not, thanks for watching anyway. I appreciate it, and hope you liked the video. Hope you got some ideas. That's really all I had for today. So, feel free to like, subscribe, share with your friends. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this, and hope you're having a great day. So, thanks for watching, my friends. Take care, and adios.